Welcome back to week 2 of the VDL Draft League. We're going to go over some of the matchups to expect for tomorrow's game. So let's just get right into it. We have Estrella versus Phantasma, Rain versus a lot of immunities. So just on a first look, Phantasma's team looks super weak to flying and ground. And there's kind of a Kilowattrel on Estrella's side that outspeeds everything except for Iron Bundle. So, could just throw around some Hurricanes, maybe some Terrablast Grounds. And Phantasma would struggle to, find a good answer to that. And then on Phantasma's side of this, we need to position around and make it difficult for Kilowattrel or Palafin, maybe even Archaludon to get a kill, because then everything falls apart. And we need a solution to that flying spam that's most likely to come. Like, look at this team, right? Who's resisting a flying type move? Belly Bolt? Is that it? Yeah, it's literally only Belly Bolt. Oh my god. Okay, yeah. So we really need a solution to that. Probably a tear on Dockspawn. What the heck just happened? Okay. Anyways, yeah, probably Dockspawn with a Terra to support with the Belly Bolt, because those would be the only two flying resists on the team. We really need to have something for that, or something to get rid of the rain so that Hurricane doesn't hit as often. I have no idea. And then going back to Estrella's side, right? We have some Iron Bundle answers, like maybe Archaludon, but Archaludon doesn't fully resist Ice type moves out of bundle. And like the other answers, they're not the greatest. We have Tailwind support if we really want to make sure Kilowattrel outspeeds everything, but that's the most I can think of right now. For this matchup, honestly, we do have the Volcanion 2 on Phantasma's side, which would resist a lot of the water moves, but realistically, like, this is just a Hurricane spam game. Like, this should be Hurricane spam for Estrella. That's my opinion, at least. So, for this matchup, I'm going to give it like a 70-30 in favor of Estrella, because I just think you could actually just click Hurricane every turn if you get rain up. And Phantasma needs to play around that. Needs to prevent the rain from going up, or have a way to switch the weather. It's going to be rough, though, to find that way to switch the weather. I don't know who's going to do that. Like, maybe, I don't know, does Volcanion get Sunny Day? That'd be pretty decent. Okay, let's move on to the next matchup. Soul Blaze versus Con Baby. So Soul Blaze has a very daunting team, right? The Hoopa Unbound is terrifying. I know last week it got kind of smoked by a Zarude that hit a crazy power whip. But it's still super strong, really crazy breaker, and Calm Baby does have some defensive mons. It is a Trick Room setting, but Soul Blaze has a weakness to a dual offensive typing that Calm Baby's team happens to have. Ceruledge. Ceruledge looks insane this game, because if it gets an SD off, Bitter Blade and Poltergeist will clear through everything. You could go Shadow Claw if you really don't want to risk anything. But look at this. Bitter Blade hits Landorus Incarnate, neutral. Shadow Claw, super effective on Slowking. The only thing that resists it is Cyclozar. Do you really want to worry about Cyclozar? I don't know, but you could run like close combat for the coverage, I guess. Bitter Blade once again hits Hoopa normally. Shadow Claw on the, or Poltergeist on the Arcanine. Bitter Blade super effective on Heracross. Shadow Claw or Poltergeist super effective on the Gengar. You can spam Bitter Blade against everyone else on the rest of the team. Like, Ceruledge goes crazy in this matchup. If it gets the SD off, it might be over. And even if, we managed to take off a bit of HP from the Ceruledge, Weak Armor activates. It's faster than everything now, too. So yeah, for that reason, like, this matchup looks crazily favored to the Ceruledge, just looking at one Mon. And I mean, that's not even considering the other options that we have, right? We have Iron Boulder, which could definitely spam some moves. I'm not sure if Ogerpon Wellspring is going to be as useful this game. And I think the same goes for Tusk, unless we want to, make sure no hazards go up and just throw around some earthquakes and some close combats. Maybe if we lead the Tusk and just start hitting offensively. Okay, I don't know what's happening with this. Either way, yeah, I mean, like, Con Baby's team has some really good options here. Even the Scrafty could maybe make some plays. But I think that Ceruledge can go so crazy. And with the Sticky Web support from Araquanid, can make some money moves. I don't think you need Trick Room. I don't think you need Trick Room here if you're Con Baby. And for Soul Blaze, we just need answers to random setups and answers to that Trick Room. And we could definitely really easily pivot around to that Hoop Unbound and just pick up KOs. So it's really just about positioning, pivoting. I want to say Con Baby has like the 60-40 here, 60% in favor of Con Baby, because the Ceruledge can actually just go so crazy in this matchup. So I'll give it to Con Baby, but this could really go in either way. Anyway. Okay. Philosopher versus Ty. This is a war of attrition, okay? Ty has no spin blocker. And that's what I would normally say. But the spinner on Philosopher's team is a Glamora. So he actually does have a spin blocker in the form of a King Gambit, which is pretty much guaranteed to come through. It does get smoked by the Blaziken, but we have Blaziken answers, right? Primarina could just be a defensive answer to that Blaziken, or Talonflame. I'm indifferent. I don't really care. Whatever you want to do. But yeah, I mean, looking at this team, the Arena Trap Dug Trio is just pretty scary too. But I just feel like it's a war of attrition, right? They're going to get their hazards up and they're going to pivot around, chip people down with hazards, and look to get a good positioning for the Blaziken on Philosopher's side and the Glade on Ty's side. It's funny, actually, both their spin blockers are steel types, but yeah, like, this matchup is actually just going to be a war of attrition. Who can knock off more heavy duty boots also, and who's going to keep up their hazards in a more effective fashion. We do have sticky webs for Ty, so that Glade could really run away with the game if it SDs and gets a good Terra type. Okay, next one is Shirley Ujess versus Nori Amiz. Listen, I still think Slitherwing is a part of the fraud watch. That Mon, I still feel like, is terrible. I know last week we saw it click first impression and completely take away a Galvantula, but that just means that Galvantula was kind of a fraud. Personally, I believe, like, the thing is with Nori and Mises teams, you don't really know what to expect. But that Gothitelle can just go so crazy. Last week we saw the Gothitelle trapping with Shadow Tag, picking up the Grass Knot KO on an Ursaluna Blood Moon, which was crazy tech and insanely good. But that's exactly how you should be using Gothitelle, right? You trap a Mon that's super strong into your team, or just super strong in general, and you have that move to trap it and kill it. It's insane. It's insane. So, like, that could happen with anything for Jest, but we do have some Mons on Just Steam that have a way of getting out. I think Enamorous and Garchomp don't have a way out, and neither does the Sinistra, though. And I think Mandibuzz. Does Mandibuzz get a U-turn? I might be stupid. Either way, a lot of, like, Slitherwing could U-turn out on the Gothitelle, and that could be really rough for Gothitelle. So maybe Gothitelle doesn't even come. Okay, what is happening? If someone knows why that white screen thing is happening, please let me know, because I'm just, like, trying to keep the tab active, but nothing's happening. Either way, we have ways to pivot around for Shirley just to get around the Gothitelle. Maybe if we taunt a Galarian Slowking on a Chilly Reception, it'd be really good. But Nori Miz is pretty guaranteed to get their hazards up, and there isn't the best of removal. Like there is Mandibuzz, but I feel like this team kind of wants Mandibuzz to come out, right? With the Gigaton Hammers and the Play Roughs. And the way that Tinglu could just, Ruination on it, knock off. And this guy could just set up on it, Roaring Moon. But I realistically, like, you do also have to realize that there's, I guess there are, like, a few resists to Moonblast, but this side of the team, like, his first three are super weak to Enamorus. Enamorus could actually just throw some Moonblast out and make some money moves. And I feel like Skill Shot Garchomp might even be decent here, right? Skill Shot with Earthquake kind of hits everything. It actually hits everything. But we have to be wary of the Glaceon. The Glaceon with Terra could come and, freeze dry this up, freeze dry this up, or Ice Beam. It could hit this for neutral with freeze dry. Like, it actually has a decent matchup. Slitherwing, though, also could be dangerous. I know it's a fraud, but first impression on his first three Mons, once again, can clear through this team, right? So it's really just a battle of, who brings the better set, in my opinion. Moltres should definitely come, right? With all these physical attackers, getting a burn is really nice. But I guess we'll see what they pull up with. I'm going to give this a 50-50 odds. Anyone could win it. Now we're on to FFella versus Forgery. Okay, first of all, this asset, I don't know why it doesn't load, but it's Tauros Paldea Blaze, same as last week. I think Forgery has a small advantage in the draft, or in the team building aspect of this matchup, because he has 12 Mons. This is the important thing about draft leagues. You should have 12 Mons because it's way more difficult for your opponent to build against you. But on the other end of the spectrum, it's slightly more difficult for you to build because you have so many options. But all of these Mons on Forgery's team are good, right? Like Tidy Up on Ferret, or you could run like a Frisk set. Knowing what items your opponent has is really good. The Tyranitar is just Sandstream, activate Excadrill, and Tyranitar is just such a good Mon on its own. Articuno and Meloetta, Terra Captain, legendary Pokemon. Weezing, Grounded Poison, or Levitate, cancel out abilities. A Spinner and Brambleghast, Rapid Spin, throw some powerful Power Whips, some Poltergeist, set up some spikes. We have Intimidate support. We have Sticky Webs. We have Regenerate. We have another Regenerator Mon. We have two Regenerator Mons. Like, this is a really difficult team because this could go any way when it's being built. And for FFLA, we do have some really strong Mons as our top 8. Calyrex and Venonat, kind of frauds. This is a legendary Pokemon, by the way. You have to pay 40 Canadian dollars to get it. But it's really bad without its horses. Anyways. Okay. There's my white screen. So for this matchup, like, I feel like Torn can pivot around on everything pretty easily. I'm pretty sure it gets Focus Blast. So it could just, run some Focus Blasts, run some Bleak Wind Storms, maybe even some Dark Pulses, and it kind of hits everything and then just U-turns out. It could just be an AV set. And then Thundurus kind of won't be able to kill it as easily. I know Thundurus is a super strong breaker, but if it's AV Torn, then you have an option into it that you could always, you could just U-turn out, or you could just go Excadrill, realistically. And then for everything else, like Meowscarada is always decent, right? You could always change your type to something more beneficial. I think setting up some spikes, getting some knockoffs off would be really nice into this team. Because you really need to chip stuff down. But Gouging Fire, anytime Gouging Fire could just come out and set up, because we might have almost everything on Forgery's team, but we don't have Unaware. And if it's like a clear amulet, Gouging Fire that gets set up, then Intimidate on Tauros won't do very much. And we still do have like the Latias, which could be Scarf or something. Or wait, sorry. Gouging Fire I thought the Latios was against the Gouging Fire. My bad. Either way, like Thunderclap won't do anything into Gouging Fire, right? Like we don't really have the best of Gouging Fire answers outside of setting up a Sandstorm and coming out with Excadrill or Sleep Powdering on Rabombi. I don't know. Does Rabombi get Sleep Powder or is it Stun Spore? Either way, it's going to be kind of a difficult battle between Gouging Fire and the Sand, I feel. Especially because getting up the Sand is going to lower the healing from Morning Sun. On FFL's side, though, we do have some decent pivots to get into Gouging Fire. Like, Thundurus, I guess it's okay. Maybe you want U-turn over Volt Switch this game, because Excadrill could just switch in really easily on it. We have the pivot from a Volt Switch Iron Treads, but I'm not sure if Treads comes this game. Maybe it does just as like a gouging, or as a, sorry, what's the giraffe's name? Raging Bolt. As a Raging Bolt check, it is a really good Raging Bolt check, actually. Covers both of his dual stabs pretty well, takes it all pretty well. It's immune to one, half resist the other. I don't know. Like, I'm kind of more confident in FFL's team just because the answers to Gouging Fire, if it brings like Clear Amulet, is like a combination of Mons, right? Yeah, like, because even if you had like Chilling Water Alamomolo maybe as like an answer, right? If it's Clear Amulet, then it still runs through everything because you can't lower its attack. I think this Mon could really take away the game if it's positioned properly, if it's brought in properly, and maybe if we break or chip some things for it, right? Either way, I feel like this might be a 50-50 still. No. We'll do 60-40. 60-40 in favor of FFL just because Gouging Fire is such a strong Mon, so bulky, so easy to get set up. And we don't have the best of answers to that setup on Forgery's team. We need to predict switch out to Tyranitar on a Dragon Dance so that later on we could just get Excadrill to KO it with an Earthquake, if it even kills with an Earthquake. We haven't even talked about that. Yeah. So let's move on to the next matchup. We have Wish versus Leppy. For this matchup, it's kind of weird, right? Because Leppy has some really slow Mons that want to take full speed control of Trick Room, and Wish has Mons that are pretty fast and just want to outspeed naturally, right? You have the Greninja, you have the Ogerpon Hearthflame, you have the Grafaiai, you have Regieleki, the monster of speed that it is. Like, we don't have the best speed, or like this game really is just a need for speed. This is the need for speed matchup. We have someone that has their need for speed through actual speed, and we have someone who needs their speed through Trick Room. I just think this matchup's going to be a lot easier for Leppy because if you get that Trick Room up, then the rest of these Mons are so bulky because they're slow for a reason. They're bulky that they might not even get 2-hit KO'd by some of the Mons on Wish's team. I think if Wish wants a chance to win, we need to have like a backup Sylveon for the Trick Room. Maybe even Clodsire as an answer to the Trick Room. That is the slowest Mon on both teams. But Clodsire doesn't set up the best. Maybe if it's like a Curse set and a Curse on the Trick Room would be insane. It'd be the fastest Mon in Trick Room by far. But I mean, Leppy does still have the option of Slush Rush Satian, but I think Regieleki would still outspeed with Slush Rush. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I mean, we don't really have the best of answers to Rapagos as well, right? Yeah. Like, the only normal resist is Decidueye, which is immune, and Skarmory, but I mean, it's a normal type legendary. Like, it has other options to run into these. Like, does it get Flamethrower? Probably not. But some type of coverage move that could cover these two Mons. and you're kind of able to hit everything else. So Leppy just has to get that Trick Room up and position in the Iron Hands, maybe the Crocodile. Like the Ursaluna could kind of take away the game too, but maybe not the Titan. We do have a lot of water types on this side. We have a steel type. I guess this one's neutral actually. But I'm not a big fan of how Titan plays this matchup. We do have the Unaware, so setup isn't the best of choices. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Urshifu with single strike could go crazy here, but we have bulky Mons that could run Rocky Helmet as well. And we do have Storm Drain Gastrodon, but I don't know if you'd even want to bring Storm Drain. Yeah, this is going to be a war of who can get up the speed control better. By get up the speed control better, I guess it's just Wish making that Trick Room or preventing that Trick Room from going up, and Leppy just trying to get that Trick Room up. Wish does just naturally outspeed everything with most of his Mons. I think it's a good shout to look at the agility Nasty Claw set that Galarian Moltres could come with, though, right? Fiery Wrath Hurricane literally hits everything on this team. This team cannot resist a setup Moltres Galar, but the issue is that you can't set up against Leppy's team. You can't set up. That Trick Room could go up, and we don't have the strongest of breakers for that Trick Room. So I'll lead 60-40 in favor of Leppy because you can't set up on the Trick Room, and we don't have the strongest of breakers for that Trick Room. For any Mon setting up Trick Room. Yeah, I just said Trick Room a lot. All right, next matchup. Ultra Burst versus Poison Point. I mean, we have Sun on Poison Point's side. I want to see Poison Point make some switches. Some of these Mons, like, they don't like Sun that much, or they're not as beneficial to Sun. Like, the Magnezone I don't like. The Weavile's okay. Sorry about the yawn. Okay. The Weavile's okay, right? It's fast enough. It throws around some knockoffs, throws around some icicle crashes, some ice shards, triple axles, but I'm not a fan, right? These are moves that Lilligant and Crocodile could cover themselves. It is always nice to have more knockoff and more speed, but we're playing Sun. We don't really want the ice type that bad. Either way, I'm talking about matchups, not themes. It's up to Poison Point if they want to make some switches. But for this matchup, I will say it is rough to bring Sun because we have an Incineroar that could set up with like a defensive Terra and just Flame Charge Flare Blitz the game away. And we have a Chi-Yu that could throw around some choice specs, overheats in the sun to take bodies. We also have the Galvantula to control some speed a bit with Sticky Web, maybe make some incorrect stats go up in the sun, right, with Photosynthesis. And maybe that's going to gate the Lilligant from taking full advantage of Chlorophyll unless we bring heavy duty boots on Lilligant. We have some of the mind games with Zoroark and Ditto, which are really rough for a Sun team. I've played this matchup where you're into Ditto as a Sun team. It's so rough because you can't, not only can you not set up, having the Sun up on a Photosynthesis Mon is basically giving the Ditto a choice scarfed attacker that has basically a choice specs in most cases if you're in the Sun and you give your Mons IV so that they get like special attack raises or attack raises, but that's really rough. This is a pretty rough matchup just from that Ditto and what the Incineroar and Chi-Yu could just click for free. And honestly, the hazard control on Poison Point's side is a Torkoal. I don't remember if Corvi gets defog anymore. I'm pretty sure it should. So maybe we don't bring hazards on Poison Point's side and we just play play to remove them, because that sticky web really could take away the game. Spikes from Klefki could also make some moves happen. And last week we did see the Avalog actually put in some work and make some plays happen. Maybe we could see something similar happen again. But I feel like Incineroar just goes really well here, right? Intimidating the Lilligant is really big. That is like the main physical attacker. We do also have the Weavile. Like, Incineroar has a really good matchup into the physical attackers on Poison Point's side. And I feel like it's really rough for Poison Point to be able to pivot around that. I just feel like Ultra Burst has some really good answers to members of the team. And let's also look at Latios, right? Latios can just click Luster Purge pretty freely. There are 2 dark types on Poison Point's side, but are you really going to predict Luster Purge when Latios comes out and switch in your dark type? Because if you're wrong, then you take a pretty big chunk on them, or you even die, right? If Weavile switches in on a Luster Purge, and it's actually Draco Meteor, goodbye Weavile. And then guess what? Latios pivots around, starts spamming Luster Purge next time it's out. What do? So, and that's not even talking about. No, Rillaboom can't come. Rillaboom can't come. I think Milotic comes. I think maybe even Galarian Articuno comes. Ditto should come. But I don't think Rillaboom could come. But, I mean, let's look at it from Poison Point's side too, right? Poison Point could actually set up with, like, agility. No, you can't agility. Because of the Ditto, you're forced to run something with Scarf for it to switch into. And then it's like a 50-50. I feel bad because this is a matchup where, like, an agility, life orb, walking wake in the sun could really take the game away. Just throwing around some Hydro Steams and some Dragon Pulses or Dracos. That would be so insane in this matchup. It'd be so strong. But once again, gated by the Ditto. You need to have an answer to the Ditto, or you need to make it so that all of your sets can answer themselves, right? Last week, we saw the Ditto come out on the Enamorous, and the Enamorous was scarfed, right? Scarf Moonblast. That's why Ditto couldn't win the matchup. That's really all it takes. All it takes is being able to beat yourself. Now, it's going to be kind of rough, right? You need to just find a position to guess Dragon Pulse spam on Wake to kill through the rest of the team. So that means you'd need to get rid of anything that resists Dragon. And we have 1 Dragon Resist on Ultra Burst team unless we Terra. And I don't think Klefki comes in the sun. I guess we'll see. Either way, I'll honestly give this matchup $50-50. I just think the Ditto really makes team building for Poison Point difficult to take advantage of any other advantages that they have in their team. And the Incineroar kind of matches up well against the physical attackers. So the game's kind of reliant on Walking Wake being positioned in properly and throwing around some Dragon Pulses and some Hydro Steams to win this game. But once again, you have that Ditto as your back pocket answer to stuff. And you could bring like a Choice Scarf Latios, which would outspeed Walking Wake in the sun. And you still have Sticky Webs on Galvantula if Poison Point elects not to bring removal. Alright, let's look at the next matchup. Mackerel versus Gek. Now, if you look at this matchup, from Gek's point of view, it's kind of nice, right? Because Arboliva last week brought that grass move that trains you. Strength Sap. We had Strength Sap Arboliva last week, and that completely ran through the team that Mackerel was up against because it was just unkillable, right? This week, we can't bring Strength Sap, and we might not be able to bring Landorus Therian because it only gets one ability, if I'm not mistaken, and it's Intimidate. And we have a Defiant Mon on Gek's team that could take the game away if it gets Defiant off. Annihilate. And Annihilate actually has a pretty decent matchup into everything. Everything gets hit by the combo of Rage Fist and ground type move, or not ground type move, sorry, fighting type moves. Yeah, literally everything gets hit by the dual stab of Annihilate. And it just has such a good matchup this game, right? I think it single-handedly might prevent Landorus from coming out, or might limit Landorus' options if it comes out. And I believe it can't run Strength Sap, so it might need to do like a Seed Sower Harvest. Or no, not Seed Sower Harvest, sorry. Those are two different abilities. It could run like a Harvest set maybe, right? It can't get its healing off of Strength Sap unless it's willing to give a boost to Rage Fist. Or not a boost to Rage Fist, sorry, a boost to Defiant. And then, I mean, if that Rage Fist is powered up, then the Rage Fist is pretty strong and I believe is unable to Terra out of normal. It needs to resist, or it needs to be immune to Rage Fist. And then, like, the other mons on Mackerel's team that are left over, like Weavile and Darkrai, they might not be able to kill everything on the team, right? Dire Claw is just a good move because of just what it can give you for free. But I don't think that's too strong into Gek's team. Right? Darkrai, Weavile, like, it could, like, they could just get walled by Pheasantipity and Gliscor. Maybe even Deoxys. Like, I don't think Heatran could come because Heatran's, like, ground type moves are very spammable from Mackerel's team. We have the Earthquake on Landorus. We have Metagross clicking Earthquake. We have Diancie with Earth Power. We have Arboliva with Earth Power. We have like Terra Blast Ground from Noivern, I guess. And we have the Close Combat on Sneasler. And we have Hydro Pump on Rotom Wash. Like, everything has something to click into Heatran. Unironically, I don't think Heatran can come. And then, like, Gliscor has a pretty free game clicking Earthquake as well. Maybe throwing out some knockoffs, some Toxics. Quavel could... Oh, this would be insane. If Quavel comes out, right? If we bring, like... Okay, I'm saying Clear Amulet all the time. I always think about setup sweepers and just, like, positioning them in. But, like, most of the time, right? If Landorus comes, it's your lead. So what could happen is you lead a Clear Amulet Quavel with like Aqua Step and Ice Spinner, and Ice Spinner gets rid of any terrain that's set up by Arboliva or Indeedee, so that Sneasler can't get the Unburden off to get the seed. And then sorry. I got a notification. And then with the Ice Spinner, you get rid of the terrain. Sneasler can't do anything, and you're just Aqua Stepping on everything. But you need a coverage move for Rotom Wash, I guess. But honestly, you might not even need it too bad. What I would do is I would lead Quaquavel if I see Landorus. I would Swords Dance up, and then I would click Aqua Step, right, on the U-turn, I guess, from Landorus, or whatever comes in. I'm clicking Aqua Step anyways. And then if Rotom Wash happens to come in, I don't think Volt Switch KOs. I might just SD up again and maybe have Facade if it wants to Will-O-Wisp me or Thunder Wave. I guess Thunder Wave isn't the best thing to see come out. That would be rough because you want to take advantage of Aqua Steps to take the game away. So maybe we do just run Close Combat instead of Facade. Either way, I feel like Ice Spinner is so good here. And like Quaquavel could really take the game away at any point just because of Moxie. And we have no unaware mons on Mackerel's team. So that's really nice. The Pheasantipity with like an AV or something could really run around on this team as well. We are struggling a bit on the defensive side, but that's fine. We have Deoxys defense and Gliscor that could build defensively for this matchup. I did also think about Scale Shot, Icicle Spear, DD, Earth Power on Kyurem, or maybe even Shadow Claw, right? Icicle Spear and Scale Shot hit everything on Mackerel's team except for the Metagross, so I guess the Shadow Claw or Earth Power would deal with the Metagross. Either way, yeah. Mackerel does kind of struggle in this matchup. Two big important mons can't use like main parts of their kit in this matchup, but I guess Mackerel and Gek kind of just want to get their mons in and start clicking offensive moves, like no pivoting. Might not even be a pivoting game. Just bring out your mons, click your move until you die. So for that reason, I'll give this matchup like a 70-30, or no, like a 65-35 in favor of Gek, because we just can't bring Intimidate on Mackerel's side, right? And the trade-off is losing Heatran, but we have other defensive options, right? That's what we drafted this team for. You can't bring the Defiant. Quavel could kind of run away with the game. Like, that's just so beneficial. And we haven't even talked about Zarude, and I don't think we need to, because Zarude doesn't actually have the best matchup this game, so I don't think it should come either. I would love to see Pikachu, though. That'd be funny. Either way, yeah, 65-35 in favor of Gek. And that is the last matchup that we have. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully, I'll see you for the games on Sunday. One thing I noticed is that people have been messaging me. They've been like, where are the games? I thought you were going to watch the games. They're in the live tab. When you go to YouTube, on someone's channel, there's like multiple tabs. You have like home, videos, and then somewhere on that line, there's a live tab. All the games that I watch will be streamed live, so they're going to be in that live tab. And after the stream is over, they're going to be in that live tab. So just go there and you'll be able to watch it. All right. And yeah, that's it. So tune in for the games Sunday, tomorrow. We're going to go hard. All right. See you guys.